Hey guys, today we're gonna need a medium shade of blue, some light blue for some detail work, and very little dark blue for some detail work, and also some pink yarn. I use worsted weight yarn. You may also use some dark royal blue embroidery floss, and this is optional, as well as a pair of 16mm eyes, a tapestry needle, and some stitch markers, and a 5mm hook, and optional, probably the smallest hook you own. I own a 1.75mm hook, and we're going to use this with the embroidery floss. If you can embroider or you can do felt detailing, this is only used for the nose, but I can't do either, so I'm just gonna crochet a super tiny nose. But if you can embroider or you want to use felt, then you won't need these two. And you're also going to need some stuffing. We are gonna start with the eye detail. So with your light blue yarn, you can do a magic ring. I usually just chain 2 and work on the second stitch from the hook. On your magic ring or your chain, you can do 2 single stitches, 1 half, 1 double, 1 half, and a single stitch. You should have 6. 1, 2. For round 2, we're actually gonna join and chain 1. We're in the next stitch, we're gonna do a single stitch increase. On that second stitch, a single stitch increase. Then we're gonna do a half double crochet increase, 2 on the next stitch, double crochet increase on the next stitch. Oops. A half double crochet increase on the next stitch, and a single crochet increase on that last stitch. And you should have 12. And then we're gonna join, chain 1. We're gonna do a single crochet increase on the next stitch, a single crochet on the next stitch. Then we're going to slit stitch 4, 2, 3, 4. On the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, another half double crochet, and a double crochet all in the same stitch. So HDC, HDC, DC. And then on the next one, we're gonna do a double crochet and 2 half double crochets all on the same stitch. And then we're going to slit stitch in the next 4, in the last 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And join. You should have 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17. And then you're gonna slit stitch. And now we're gonna grab our scissors, which I didn't mention before. And I usually, the way that I measure out how much yarn I will need to attach is I'll just measure around once and then give it a couple extra inches. So we're gonna fast enough, and you need to make another one of these. We are gonna start with the head. You can do a magic ring, or like me, I like to do a chain 2. On that second chain or your magic ring, single crochet 8. Hold that tail tight. And because we are not working on continuous round, because we are working on continuous rounds, we're gonna use a stitch marker. So for round 2, you're gonna single stitch increase in every single stitch. So I'm gonna do my first increase on that first stitch. And I'm going to place my stitch marker on that first stitch. Now single stitch increase all the way around. For round number 3, we're going to single stitch increase and single stitch on the next stitch all the way around. So do your single stitch increase, add your stitch marker, and then one single stitch. Single stitch increase and single stitch in the next stitch all the way around. And you should have 24 stitches. Now for round 4, things are going to change a little bit because we're going to go for a little bit of a square look. So round 4 starts with a single stitch in the first 2 stitches. 1, 2. Place our stitch marker right here. And now we're going to single stitch increase in the next 2. Single stitch in the next 4 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the next 4 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the next 4 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2. And single stitch in the last 2. For round 5, we're going to single stitch in the first 3 stitches. Place your stitch marker on that first stitch. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the next 6 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the next 6 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the next 6 stitches. Single stitch increase in the next 2 stitches. Single stitch in the last 3 stitches. You should have 40 stitches. Now for round 6 through 16, single stitch in each stitch all the way around, and then I'll meet you back. For round 17, we're going to single stitch in the first 3 stitches. Place your stitch marker. Now we're going to decrease twice. One decrease, 2 decrease. Now single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 4, 5, 6. Single stitch decrease twice. 1 decrease, 2. Now single stitch in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2. Single stitch decrease twice. Single stitch in the next 6 stitches. Single stitch decrease twice. and single stitch in the last 3 stitches. For round 18, we're going to single stitch in the next 2 stitches. Place your stitch marker. Single stitch, decrease twice. Single stitch in the next 4. Single stitch, decrease twice. Single stitch in the next 4 stitches. Single stitch, decrease twice. Single stitch in the next 4 stitches. Single stitch, decrease twice. And single stitch in the last 2 stitches. Now you can pull a long tail, because right now we're gonna attach the eyes. Now we're gonna attach the eyes. So on that first stitch we made, we're gonna count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this line right here is our halfway point, so I'm just gonna mark it. So now I'm going to go up 5 stitches to the left of our halfway point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to go over 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and place it on that corner. So we have 4 and 5 and then 6 this way. Now on the other end of your stitch or of our marker, we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is where we'll be placing our eyes. So first for our eyes, we're going to grab our blue pieces. Let me face him this way. So we have your eyes, or your eye detail right there. We're gonna grab one of our safety eyes and go through that initial ring that we made and poke it through. So it's gonna be kind of at the bottom. And now we're gonna pass it through where we marked off. Right there. It's gonna feel really tight because we're trying to pass that safety eye through 2 layers. So push it in really tight. And I'm not going to fasten them yet. Now we're gonna do for the same thing for the other eye. We're gonna go through that initial ring or circle hole, And now we're going to pass it through where we marked off. There we go. So those are our eyes. We can actually go through and put in our fasteners. Making sure that they're in there tight, that they're not gonna go anywhere, that they're secured. So there we go. You should still kind of be able to move them before you sew them on. And we're not gonna sew them on now because you want the head to be filled, so we can get a better idea of where we want the placement, whether we're gonna move these around a little bit or not. So let's give that a break, put our pins away, and there we go. So now we're gonna go back. Let's insert our hook. For round 19, we're going to decrease and a single stitch all the way around. So we're gonna do our decrease, place our stitch marker, and a single stitch in the next stitch. We're going to So at this point, we can start stuffing the head. I like stuffing it firmly 3/4 of the way full because we're gonna continue closing off the circle a little bit more. So for round 20, we're actually going to single stitch decrease all the way around, and we should have 8 stitches. For round 21, we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. One, pull up our yarn, and now we're gonna finish stuffing the head. So you can use your crochet hook, or you can use one of these sticks that come with your stuffing, and we're going to work our way, pushing our fiber fill in there. Let's try smaller pieces, a little bit at a time. Massage it a little bit. So needs a lot more. You can kind of feel it here where it's nicely firmly stuffed. It's not overstuffed. You don't want to understuff it to where the shape, we lose this shape, but also if you overstuff it, it's gonna come out way too round and it's gonna lose the cute little cube shaped head. So you kind of have to play with it, massage around the stuffing. You also don't want it to be lumpy, especially because we are adding little pieces at a time, and sometimes that makes it lumpy. So really massage it in there so those lumps kind of, you know, fuse, merge together. And then once you're happy, we can actually continue crocheting. If you want, you can attach your eyes now. I like to wait till I have the nose made and I have the ears made to kind of really play around with how I want these sewn on, because you can kind of still move them around. So I'm going to actually leave them like this for now, and I'm going to continue on the body. Let's grab our stitch marker. Let's put the stuffing away for now. So this was round 21. For round 22, we are going to go and increase in each stitch around. So let's do our first increase. 1, 2, place our stitch marker in there. Increase all the way around. For round 23, we're going to increase on the next stitch and single stitch on the stitch after. Increase, single stitch, increase, single stitch, all the way around. So we're going to do our first increase. Through, and a single stitch. Increase. And single stitch. For round 24, we're going to increase it in the first stitch and single stitch in the next two. So increase, single stitch, all the way around. increase, place your stitch marker, and then single stitch, single stitch, increase, single stitch, for round 25, we're going to increase and single stitch in the next 7 all the way around. So increase, place your stitch marker, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you're gonna increase and 7, you're gonna do that 3 more times. For round 26, we are going to skip the first 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On that 9th stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. Mark that stitch. And then we're going to single stitch 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to skip 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On that 9th stitch, do a single crochet, and then you're gonna single crochet in the last 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we went and created the armholes that we will be using later, and now we're going to work on just the body. So for round 27, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. You should have 20. So now we're gonna start on the first leg. So what we're gonna do first is we're going to single crochet 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to skip 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And on that 11th stitch, we're going to do a single stitch. And then just single stitch in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. For technically round 29, we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. Now I know for right-handed people, this foot that we just worked on, the leg, is going to be on this side. So this is where you may have to change things a little bit because we're going to be making some toes. So for me, I will do a single stitch. And it's going to depend if your doll is facing up, then you can go ahead and work the toes. But if your doll is facing down the other way around, make sure you single crochet until you get to the other side, and you kind of want to center the toes on the 3 stitches right here. So for me, it works with a single crochet, do the 3 toes, and then single crochet 6. If you're right-handed, you may have to do the opposite. You may have to single crochet 6 first, then do the toes, and then do 1 last single crochet, but I'm not sure. I think the stitch counts should still work the same, where you're doing a single crochet, then your toes, and then 6 single crochets. So for the toes, I'm going to do a 3DC bobble in 1. The way we're going to do that is we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and we're only going to pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, pull your yarn over, and pull through 2. So now we have 3. Gonna yarn over, insert your hook, pull your yarn and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. And then now we have 4, and now we're gonna pass it through all 4. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull, run through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. You have 4, and you're gonna pass it through all 4. So we're gonna do that again. Yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2 with 4, and then you have your toes, and we'll shape them more later. No big worries here. And now we're gonna single crochet 6. We're gonna single crochet in the last 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. So now I should have 10 stitches and not 9. So for this very last round, which is technically round 31, we're going to decrease all the way around, but we're only going to work on the back loops. And this is going to make the bottom of our foot lay flat. And we're not going to worry about stuffing right now. It's not that important. We're going to stuff through the arms in a little bit. So one, 2, 3, 3, 4, and it gets really tight towards the end. 4, 5. I'm gonna slit stitch to that very first one, and then we're gonna fasten off. And I like leaving maybe 5, 6 inches long tail, and then fasten off. See, twist it a little bit. There we go. And we have one foot done with some cute little toes. So we're gonna work on the next foot. Now this is where it's gonna look different for right-handed people, because technically working on this leg that we just worked, but it should work the same way. Face your doll sideways. So if you're right-handed people, you're actually gonna face it this way. Just imagine the leg's not there. You want the eyes to face the opposite direction of the way you're going. So I'm gonna go this way. So my eyes are facing out to the left because I'm gonna go towards the right. Now if you're right-handed, you want your eyes to be on this side because you're gonna be working this way. As long as you're working towards the back of the doll and not towards the front, it should be fine. So I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, and I'm gonna insert it on the 6th stitch right there. And then we're gonna single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3. Oops, I pulled that tail in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn your work. Go to the next available unworked stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're not joining, so we're just gonna go straight into that first stitch. We're gonna single crochet all the way around, so we should have 10 stitches. So 1, 2, so now the next row is the one with the toes. So obviously I'm working towards the back and I'm coming out from. So I'm gonna do my 6 single crochets first. I really think it should work the same way for right-handed people. I just know you're working on opposite legs because your work is reversed of mine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And play around wherever your stitch lands. You just want to make sure that the 3 that are up front are going to be your toes. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, yarn over, insert hook, pull through 2, 4 stitches, 4 loops on your hook, pull through all 4. We're gonna make 2 more toes. and single stitch on that last stitch. And now we're gonna work on the back loops only. We're gonna decrease all the way around on the back loops only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna slip stitch to that first stitch, cut a long tail, and fast enough. This is what you should look like so far. So after we finish the legs, we're actually gonna go ahead and stuff the legs. So grab some fiber fill, and through the arms we are going to stuff the legs and really push it in there. You want to fill your stuffing up until this point. So once you do the legs, do a little bit of the tummy and kind of get it where you want it. There we go. Now we're going to grab our crochet hook and we're going to start in one arm. So with your doll facing you, if we're left-handed, start on this side. If you're right-handed, start on this side. So I'm going to turn my work. Now this is where it kind of gets a little complicated. You can do it the easy way where you just, there are 8 skip stitches. You can single stitch in each and go around. I don't like using that way because it leaves a hole, but that can easily be fixed. Like we're gonna fix the hole right here. It can easily be fixed in the arm too. So now what I like to do is use that very first stitch and do a decrease with the side right here, do a decrease with the stitch right here, and then single stitch 6. That is the way that I found it easiest to be. And I like starting in the back, working towards the front. So I'm gonna single stitch decrease down here, single stitch decrease over here, and then do 6. Now when you're working on the other side, you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna skip that first stitch. You're gonna start right here on the second stitch. You're gonna single stitch 6 and then do a decrease and do a decrease. What we're doing at the end of the day is using that first and last stitch of the 8 to do decreases with these exposed loops right here. There's one right here and one right here. So you're doing decreases on the armpits and then regular stitches up here. So it doesn't matter which way you start or which side you start on, as long as you're using that last and first stitch for decreases and then regular stitches. Sorry, that was so repetitive. But I'm just gonna go ahead and start. So I am going to attach my yarn and chain 1. So I'm gonna do, oops, let's not do that tail. I'm gonna do a decrease with that first stitch and the side, and then grab that next side loop and the next stitch of this, skipped 8 stitches, and do another decrease, and that closes off any hole that the armpit could have. And then we're gonna do 6 single crochets. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that leaves you with 8 stitches around. So for round 2 and 3 of the arm, we're just going to single crochet around. This is round 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Slit stitch to that first stitch and fasten off, and we're gonna leave a tail. So with your tapestry needle, I'm just gonna go ahead and just fold it flat and close off this hole using the back loops only. And then probably just weave in that tail. So now you're gonna grab some of your stuffing, and we're gonna finish filling this up. So we wanna make sure we get some stuffing to the other arm. There. Make sure you don't fill it up flushed, because when you're crocheting, you don't want to crochet over your stuffing. So just enough to like go halfway through the body and fully stuff that one hand. Looking kind of crazy. I mean, cute. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the other arm. Now I can show you how to do it the other way. This might be easier to just do the single crochet in each stitch around. In each stitch around. So you just join on that first stitch in the back and single crochet 8. And that's gonna give you a little bit of an armpit hole, but we can close it, and I'll show you how to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tuck that tail in. and then join to that first, or not join, but single crochet on that first stitch that you made. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and let's do one more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pull up a little bit of a longer tail, more like, it doesn't really matter, just a long tail. Join to that first stitch and fasten off there. So you can see it kind of leaves it with a big hole. So what we can do now is attach our tapestry needle. It ends up being a little bit more work, but it's not that big deal if it's easier. Just gonna go through and try to close it. This is why I like doing the decreases, because it prevents this from happening. So just make sure we thoroughly, completely close that gap so we don't have any stuffing showing through anything. You know, we're gonna leave it there just in case. And now you can finish stuffing the rest of the body and your arm. As you can see, it's fully stuffed, and I don't feel like it makes that much of a difference between the two. It's just whether you like sewing it closed or just doing the decreases, so you don't have to worry about it. But and this one, because we're just gonna close it, try to get it as full as you can. Right there. And now we do need to bring the yarn back up here. Fold it flat and just sew it close. Let's push the back down a little bit. And then we can weave that in. Let's go ahead and weave these in as well. So grab your tapestry needle back. First, we're gonna start by, it's not as wide, but just closing this hole up a little bit. And I'm just gonna weave in and out through those loops that are on the top and then sewing it closed. Now, I'm going to cinch in the toes a little bit. So I'm gonna go like behind the toe and pull it tight over into the next toe and pull it tight and then go over behind that last toe and pull it tight. This gives the toes a little bit more of a definition. And since we're here, we're just gonna go ahead and close this little gap right here. Like this. One more. And there we go. And then we're just gonna weave in that tail. And do the same on the other side. We are gonna work on the left ear first, and I went ahead and made the blue part, but technically I would suggest to do both the pink parts first, and then do one blue one and attach, and then do the other blue one and attach. That's just probably the easiest way to do it, but I went ahead and made the blue so you could kind of see what it looked like. Leave your yarn attached, and let's work on the left side first. And yeah, so let's chain 4. We're going to, on that second loop, single stitch and single stitch in the next 2. You should have 3 stitches. Chain 1, turn, single stitch in each stitch around for row 2. And then row 3 and 4 are also 3 single stitches around. Make sure you chain 1 and you turn after every row. So that was that row 3, chain 1, turn, and this is row 4. And 3 single stitches all the way around. And chain 1 and turn. So for round 5, we're going to single stitch 2. And we're gonna do an increase on that last stitch. So now we have 4. For row 6, we're just going to single stitch in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. For row 7, we're going to chain 1, turn. We're gonna single stitch 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're gonna do an increase in that last one. 1, 2. So for row 8, we're just gonna single stitch in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For row 9, we're going to single stitch in the first 4, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do an increase on that last stitch. 1, 2. Now we have 6. Gonna chain 1 and turn. We're gonna single stitch. We're gonna slip stitch in the first 2. 1 and 2. Single stitch in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna chain 1, turn, single stitch in the first 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. On that second stitch from your hook, you're gonna do a single stitch on that next chain, and single stitch in the last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to chain 1 and turn. This is row 13. We're going to decrease through the first 2 stitches. We're gonna single stitch 2, and we're gonna decrease through the last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn, decrease through the first 2, decrease through the last 2. Chain 1, turn, and do a final decrease. Now we're gonna chain. We're gonna go down the side, 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch 2 on that edge. Slip stitch 2 right through those slip stitches that we made on that row. And now evenly single stitch 9 for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we can tuck that tail in. We're just gonna single stitch over that tail. So on that bottom line, we're gonna single stitch 3. Oops. 1, 2, and 3. Going up this long side, we want to evenly single stitch 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. We're gonna join to that first stitch that we made. Oops. And then cut a tail. It doesn't have to be that long. So once you have both your pieces, we're actually gonna join them. This is why we left the blue attached here. So when you're placing them down, make sure that you're placing them like this, because this is the left ear. This pointy part needs to be out. You don't want to attach them like this, because when you need to attach it to stitch, you need to attach it like this, and it's just not gonna work. So make sure that you have it facing this way, and this one facing this way. And yeah, so now this is where it's going to be a little bit different for right-handed and left-handed people. Left-handed people, you're going to go down this long edge. Right-handed people, you're going to go down this edge first. But the principle is the same. You're going to make sure when you finish your blue that you chain one. When you join your blue, that you're chaining one. All right. So with the right placement of that ear, we're gonna go through a back loop and through both the loops on the blue, and we're gonna slit stitch them joined. Back loop, both loops. Back loop, both loops, and we're gonna do this all the way around. Now we're gonna work on the right ear with indentations right here. So I went ahead and I made the blue one beforehand. So let's start with the pink. We're going to, so now we're gonna start on the right ear. So I am going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the second stitch. We're going to single stitch and single stitch in the last 2 chains. Ooh. There we go. Chain 1, turn, single stitch in each stitch for row 2. Chain 1, turn, row 3, we're also going to single stitch in each stitch. Chain 1, turn, we are going to single stitch in the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to do an increase on that very last stitch. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 5, we're going to slip stitch on the first 2 stitches, single stitch on the last 2. Chain 1, turn, single stitch in the first 2 stitches, and now we're going to chain 3. 1, oops, 2, oh my goodness, what's happening? 1, 2, 3. On that second chain, do a single stitch, do a single stitch on that next chain, and single stitch in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn. This is row 8. We're going to single stitch on the first 3, 1, 2, and 3, and do a single stitch increase on that last stitch. Row 9, single stitch in each stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1, turn. Row 10, single stitch in the first 4, 2, 3, and 4. Do the increase on that last stitch. 1, 2. We're gonna chain 1 and turn. Row 11, single stitch in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 1, turn. Row 12, we're also gonna single stitch in each stitch. Chain 1, turn. Row 13, we're going to decrease, 2 single stitch, and decrease. Chain 1, turn. We're going to decrease and decrease one more time. Chain 1, turn, and row 15, we're going to decrease and chain 1, turn. Evenly single stitch 9 along this edge. Oops. Slit stitch 2 on this edge right here. Slit stitch 2 on this edge right here. Single stitch 4 going down. single stitch 3, and evenly single stitch 14, and I'm gonna crochet over my tail over there. And we're gonna slit stitch or join to that first stitch we made and cut it off. So just like with the left side, we're gonna put the pink over the blue. Because this is the right side, make sure that the indentation is out towards the right. So just like before, when you're doing the blue, make sure you chain 1, and it's the same process. We're gonna go through the back loop and through both loops and slit stitch all the way around. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the details, and then we'll work on attaching everything together later. So we're gonna do the tail, and I'm just gonna do tiny tail. So I chain 2, and on that second chain I do 5 single stitches. You can do your magic ring if you prefer that method. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna pull that tail tight. We're just gonna work on continuous rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then round 2 and 3 are also 5 all the way around. It's gonna get a little bit tight because it's so tiny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1 more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Gonna slip stitch to that first stitch and leave a tail. Pull it tight, and now you have a cute little tail. I'm just putting that inside tail in there. Kind of works as a little bit of stuffing. And so we got our tail. Now we're gonna work on the tummy detail. You're gonna use your light blue for this. Use your magic ring or chain 2 like me, and we're going to do 6 single crochets in your magic ring or your chain 2 on your first chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We are going to join, pull it tight, chain 1. On that first stitch, we're gonna do an increase. On that next chain, we're gonna do a half double crochet, or sorry, on that next stitch, we're gonna do a half double crochet, a double crochet, and a half double crochet, all on the same stitch. So half double, double, and half double, all on the same stitch. Then we're gonna do a single stitch increase on the next stitch, another single stitch increase on the next stitch. On that next stitch, we're gonna do the half double, double, half double, all on the same stitch. So half, double, half, oops, half. And on that last stitch, we're gonna do a single stitch increase. 1, 2. And then we have our tiny little tummy. Make sure we pull on that tail a little tighter. There we go. I'm gonna leave a long tail to attach it. We have a cute little oval shape. And for the last piece that we're gonna crochet, we are going to use that embroidery floss. Again, if I can't really embroider very well, we're gonna embroider the little stripes here in the back with the yarn, but with my dark blue yarn, because that's very easy, you're just going back and forth. But he has a triangular nose, and if you can embroider a triangular nose, then I highly recommend that. If you want to felt it, do a little felt triangle that you can put here, that's fine too. But I like to crochet tiny details, and embroidery floss isn't necessarily the easiest one to crochet with, but that's just what I'm used to crocheting with if we're doing like super tiny details. Now, the smallest hook I own is a 1.75 millimeter by Susan Bates. So that's what I'm gonna use. So for our nose, you can use a magic ring, or like me, a chain 2. We're gonna do 6. This is really small. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. I don't know if that's gonna help. Like micro crochet tiny nose. So we're going to single crochet 6 on that first chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm gonna pull it a little tight. You know, this blue might not be the best, but so for you guys to be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you don't have to join. You just really have to pay attention to your stitches since we're not joining. So for round 2 of the nose, we're going to do a single stitch increase in every stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. For the last round, so round number 3, we are going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. On that next stitch, you're going to do a half, a double, and a half. So on the same stitch. So half, oops, a double, and a half. Single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Do a half, a double, and a half in the same stitch. Now we're gonna single crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna do again a half, a double, and a half on the same stitch. So half, double, and half. And that should take us all the way around. We're just gonna slip stitch to that very first stitch. And now we have this cute little triangular nose. We're gonna leave a yarn enough to go all the way around and fasten it off. We are gonna start in the back detailing first. We're going to embroider some stripes. I want to start on maybe like 1, 2, 3 rows up here. We're gonna go a little bit wider with that first one. Actually, I think they're probably both gonna be the same. Make sure you leave a tail. And we're just gonna go over like this a couple of times. So I'm gonna go 1 or a few times. 2, and as you're pulling it, make sure you're placing it. So we did that first one. This one's gonna go over the top. So slowly pull right there. That's a cute detail. And now we're gonna go through the bottom. Right, so that one's gonna go there. And we're actually gonna push this one row over higher. So that is 3. Now the same way, we're just doing 2 stripes. You got your first one. The second one's gonna go above it. And then one that's gonna go right underneath it. We can actually push that one that way. And I slowly pull it to make sure that it's gonna go in the right place. I have 2 tiny stripes. I did go a little bit smaller with my next one. Instead of 4 rows, I did 3 rows. Actually, this tail, I cut up way too much yarn. And now we're just gonna push these we're gonna weave it through so it doesn't run. We can do the tail. I'm gonna do that tail right underneath your stripes. Make sure that it's nice and perfectly round. And I just like to pin it into place. Use shorter needles. These are long. Don't poke yourself. Right there. Make sure that it's centered, make sure it's where you want. I really would recommend to use pins so it doesn't shift at any moment and it stays where you want it to stay. So I'm just gonna back stitch. Cute little tail back there. Now we can do the tummy. I just like to. I don't like cutting tails, so weave it in there. Center it. Pin it. Maybe I should separate my pins, have my big ones in one and my small ones in the other. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually gonna grab those top loops, right? Technically that's the front loop. Those are the ones I'm gonna grab when I'm attaching it, just so it doesn't have such an elevated look. Sorry, my camera was being a little bit crazy, but this is how I'm going to attach them. And I'm just gonna go ahead and sew them along off camera so you don't have to watch me do that. I'm gonna do the same way that I did it with the tummy, where I'm gonna use those front loops, outer loops, top loops to attach them down. And I'm gonna do the same with the nose. I may grab a smaller, just like a regular needle to do the embroidery floss. And I'll be back to show you how to do the ears. Now we're gonna do the ears. Let me hide this one tail. It was just giving me a headache. It did not want to go inside. So let's work on this ear. I'm just gonna slide it in and snip it. So now that we have the long tail, I'm actually gonna bring it down. Oops. I'm just bringing it down till, let's see, I'm gonna fold it in. 1, 2, 3. We're not gonna use a middle stitch. 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna bring it down to this stitch right here. We're gonna fold it in. I have a little bit of pink poking through. I think I went a little too tight on those slip stitches, but we're gonna grab that front loop and bring it into this loop right here. Gonna make it tight. We're just closing it in right there. It's bringing out the pink a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it's gonna get hidden right there. And leave the tail in there, and we're gonna do the same to the opposite side. see. So now we can grab our pins and pin this down into place. Move them back a little bit. Kind of play around where you want to see them. It looks like I went 3 stitches away from the eyes, kind of centered on the cube right here. This one, let's go a little bit forward. Right there. Kind of make sure that they're even right here. There we go. And this one you're gonna kind of have to squeeze to attach and give it a good couple of stitches. There. Remove the pins. Oh, no, we need to go up higher a little bit. Sorry. I gotta get out of the habit of trying to bring things close to my face. Make sure that I stay in frame. And now I'm gonna fold this down a little bit to attach it right there. And now we're gonna work on the front. Go. Let's do one more. And now I'm gonna weave it in. And here we go. We're happy. Kind of massage them into place because we kind of gave them, we were handling him so much while we were sewing stuff in. And here he is. I hope you like him. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe and comment down below what you would like to see next time, and then we can make it happen. I do have a couple of my creations online, of the ones on my Instagram, of the ones that I've done in the past. And yeah, if you want a new one that I haven't maybe made before, leave a comment down below and I'll try to make it happen for you. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have fun. And if you do make one, please share it with me on any of my social media sites. I would love to see your creations. Have a good day.